It's time for CBJ in 30, presented by Telhio Credit Union. Find us on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Music, YouTube, and TuneIn. The easiest thing to do is tell Alexa or Siri to play CBJ in 30. Here's your host, Bob McElligott.
Welcome to a very special Monday mailbag edition of CBJ in 30, presented by Telhio Credit Union. Today, I've got a very special guest that I'm bringing in, and it wasn't even my doing. I'll be honest with you. It was by request. I understand it. I don't understand it. Anyway, we'll get to that in just a second. I'm already getting the dirty looks, and that's exactly what I was hoping to get. But before I tell you who the guest is, many of you know, but before I introduce him, let me tell you about my friends over at Telhio Credit Union. At Telhio Credit Union, they know just what you need when it comes to your finances. And maybe you don't know, but they know. And the way that you can find out what they know and what they can do for you is by going to their website at telhio.org. All you have to do is surf right through the website. You'll be able to find all the information you need. Why should you join a credit union? Bang, it's there. What kind of accounts could you open? Bang, it's there. Is it just for personal or can I do business as well? Bang, it's all there. Right at your fingertips, you can find out all that information and much more. And if you can't find what you're looking for, go to the right-hand side of the screen during business hours. There is a live chat option. Somebody will pop up right on your screen and answer your questions. Telhio Credit Union is open to everyone in Central and Southwestern Ohio. They are federally insured by NCUA. Now, last week, after I did last Monday's edition of this show, I got a tweet, and it was from Susan Hatch Miller, who said, Bob, just a thought. How about a mailbag with your son? I think many Blue Jackets fans thoroughly enjoyed his insights on goalie equipment and his observations on specific differences between goalies. Maybe start with having him name his 3 all-time favorite goalies and why. Thanks for all you do. So after Susan sent that, I put it out as not a Twitter poll, but I just said, what do you think? And I got some favorable responses. And since I knew that he has absolutely nothing else to do, I shouldn't say that. He's actually doing something that we'll talk about a little bit later on here. But since I knew that he was available, he would be easy to contact, and that I could strong-arm him into this, I would like to bring on my son, Matthew. Welcome officially to a full edition of the Monday mailbag of CBJ in 30, presented by Telhio Credit Union.
Thank you for having me.
Are you nervous about this?
A little bit.
Why?
Because I don't like doing interviews with you.
Really? That's
I have too much interaction with you during the course of one normal day.
Yes, and believe me, we're both a little bit worried about how this is going to go. I think we know that, and we've talked about it. As I said, I had to strong-arm him a little bit. This was not, hey, do you want to do this with me? And an absolute yes. There was he was trying to negotiate this.
I was told this was going to be one question. It turned into 7, 8, 9 questions.
Right.
So.
Yeah, well, what did you want me to tell you? You want me to tell you it's going to be 10 to 15 and have you say no right off the bat? If I say just one,
you're still going to make me do it anyway.
I know, but if you find out, as soon as you find out how popular that you are, again, I don't get it, but as soon as you find out how popular you are, then I knew you would be okay with that.
Well, I appreciate you, Susan, for recommending me for this episode. Thank you.
And you should appreciate that, but now there's a lot of pressure, right? They asked for you, so you've got to deliver.
No pressure. I will deliver for the fans.
Okay. Well, before we get to some of the questions, what Susan did mention was your top 3 favorite goalies. So let me just go here, because you and I have had this debate the last couple of days when my, what do they call it? Starting 6 was announced?
Yeah, it was your first line and your goalie.
My first line, the criteria, if you had to win one game, right? If you had to win one game.
Game 7.
This is not about winning a series. This is not about winning a President's Trophy. This is about one game. And you and I talked about this before I made my selections, and the only place that we differed was in goal. And I know a lot of people are differing in goal with me, and again, that's fine. But I took I think this was a no-brainer. I can't believe everybody didn't do this. Gretzky, Lemieux, and Crosby as my forwards.
Which I also helped you pick. You had to have some of the best centers in the game, but of course, center can play any position, so I wanted to help you out there. But defense, I thought we locked it down. We had Lidstrom, and who else did we have?
Bobby Orr. And in all fairness,
we agreed on that. I helped you with Lidstrom.
Yes, you did. In all fairness, I will say that. That's true.
But I had major different goalie opinions than you did.
Okay, and
you did a little research, but I think I had a little bit more experience but I don't know why you wouldn't listen to me, especially because I'm the smartest one out of the two of us.
Right. Yeah. When it comes to goalies, or just mean overall? Because
No,
we could have a debate that'll go long beyond these 30 minutes on that. But I picked Grant Fuhr, and you didn't. You had other thoughts.
I don't think that's a bad pick. I never said that was a bad pick. I said I'd go with somebody else, or potentially narrow it down between two other people. Because I originally said Wall, but everybody's saying Patrick Wall, and then I said Marty Brodeur. I thought that was going to be a no-brainer, and then we agreed on Brodeur, and then my option got switched, and I didn't really know.
Oh, you thought I was going with Brodeur? That's what you're saying.
Originally, you told me that, and then right before you sent it in, you said you were going Grant Fuhr.
Right.
And then after you sent it in, we'll just get to this. I said Bernie Perrant, and I was too late.
And I said he's a flyer, and I just wasn't going to go with a flyer. I said that. I'll be honest about it.
But instead, you're going to go with a Buffalo Sabre and other people?
What? Listen, there's just when I grew up,
you picked two Penguin people.
Yeah, well, when I grew up and where I grew up, the Flyers were hated, and I still don't like the Flyers. So, I like Jake Voracek, I like Claude Giroux, but after that it gets thin, fast, really fast. So, I just wasn't going to do it. And besides, when I looked at Grant Fuhr, look at the teams that he won with in Edmonton. Those were star-studded teams like the 5 other people that I picked.
You had his teammate on there.
Of course I had his teammate on there because he's the best to ever play the game.
You could have picked someone back in the day like Jacques Plante. Took the Canadiens and the Blues to multiple Stanley Cup appearances. Terry Sawchuk's one of the greatest goalies of all time, and I was kind of shocked that you picked the Southpaw as your goalie of choice.
Well, there's another thing, because shooting against a southpaw doesn't happen every day, and it can cause problems. Listen, Grant Fuhr played on Edmonton Oilers teams that were great, and he won multiple Stanley Cups. This team,
but we can have that argument with the same goalies that we're talking about.
It's just, listen, everybody's going. The guys that you're talking about, the Brodeurs, the Waugh, the Haschicks, everybody's going there. It's like a no-brainer, easiest thing to do. Okay, why doesn't everybody have Gretzky and Lemieux on their team? Why didn't everybody do that? Okay, they went with somebody else. I had somebody that said to me, Ovechkin's greater than Gretzky. Give me a break. Are you kidding me? You got to be kidding me on that. So, look, everybody's going to have a different opinion. Why should I go with the same old guys, right? Let's mix it up a little bit, and it's still a great goalie to win one game. Did I look at the other people's? Not really. You know why? Don't care. I picked mine. You know how I am better than anybody.
Yeah, I knew you were going to go with 80s people, so I should have.
It's your genre. I mean, that's the genre, right?
I'm throwing
Crosby's
out people
not
from
80s.
the 50s. Okay, yeah, but that's because he's the greatest player of all time, arguably. So.
All right, so I could have picked a goalie with no mask, but I didn't do that.
You could have.
Yes, but I picked Grant Fuhr. So if I'm going to take heat for that, that's fine. I'm okay with it. Which guy would you have picked? Brodeur. Now you're going to waver. Here we go.
I don't know. No, I'm going to stick with Perrant. I told you earlier Perrant. I'd probably say Perrant. He's a money goalie.
Okay.
He's a big game guy.
So, again, we agree to disagree. So there's a little goalie talk for you right off the top. Let's get to some of these other questions. And let's start off with a voice question. Let's start off with me speaking properly. Let's start off with a voice question, and let's go to Greg.
Hi, Bob. This is Greg in Cleveland. A couple questions for you. First, I understand your son is probably pretty bummed that he did not get to have a senior high school baseball season, but at the same time, he's got to feel relieved and even fulfilled that he got to finish his senior hockey season. So with that being said, does he have any plans on playing collegiate hockey? The second question is, the phrase flapjacks on a Ferris wheel, I always get a kick out of that, and the visual cracks me up. And I was wondering, where did that phrase ever come from?
Well, Greg, thanks for checking in. I appreciate that. Should I give away the secrets on the sayings?
I don't even know what they are. You don't even tell me.
I know that's so. Should I give it away?
That's
or
up
not
to
give
you.
it away?
That's up to you. I know some of them because I've said them or I've done something.
Yes, you are involved in some of those. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, or I've witnessed the saying being done.
Right, and they could come from anywhere.
Movies, people. A lot of them are based off of what people have said in person.
Yes, that is true. That one in particular comes off a TV show, and I heard it a long time ago, and it just kind of stuck. And it was the first one that I used, and that's why it's always special. I use it for the first goal of every regular season, and again, it was the first one I ever used in Syracuse. So that one did come from TV, but they can come. People ask me all the time, where do you get them? TV, movies, songs. But again, as Matthew just said, many times people say things and I go, oh, that's a goal call. How many times do I get my phone out in the middle of conversation and say that's a goal call?
A couple times.
Yes.
We'll be watching TV and you'll pull out your phone and we have a good idea of what you're doing.
If it's somebody I don't know and we're actually in conversation, I don't get my phone out right at that moment. I wait until we walk away, and the conversation is over for me because I'm just trying to remember the one thing that they said that I'm going to use for a goal call, so I don't even answer the other stuff. But answer Greg's question about losing your high school baseball season. Now, in all fairness, right now it's not lost, but it's been delayed. Several weeks have been lost, and you're just waiting for an answer as to whether you're going to get to play at all right now. So how do you feel?
Yeah, that's tough. I actually got asked about this before for a local newspaper. I just honestly feel bad for the people that were in the winter sports. Starting off with that, we had wrestlers and stuff at our school competing, and that's really tough for people like that they didn't get to finish their year off. So, but yeah, for baseball, that's really tough too. Going into my senior year, and we've been really good for the past 2 years, and we've gone to districts, and we were planning on going back again for 3 years in a row now, and that's just a little heartbreaking. But as you said, it's still up in the air, which is hopeful. It was nice that Jerry Snodgrass didn't cancel it at the press conference a couple weeks ago. I was watching that, and I was a little scared, but you were watching it too. But yeah, no, it's nice that he is keeping us in mind and the other sports in mind. And to answer your question about hockey, I am actually going to go play collegiate baseball. I'm going to Sinclair Community College in Dayton, Ohio.
And they lost their season too, so hopefully by the fall, all of this stuff is straightened out. Hopefully, if there's no high school baseball, hopefully there's some summer travel ball, and then definitely the fall schedule in college.
Yeah, and that's tough, especially trying to get prepared for your first season in college. The game's completely different, and just not getting to play games and being around the guys is tough for everyone too.
And missing out on reps. I
Yeah.
mean, you've gotten together a couple times with a handful of teammates and thrown a little bit, but as a pitcher, you've thrown 0 innings.
Yeah, no, that's really tough, and we've been lucky to get people out for live hitters and stuff. So I think our school has done a good job with that, especially the captains and the seniors getting people together. I think that's really beneficial. But yeah, it's tough for people. You can't have practices or anything, and it's just a hard time for everyone.
All right, so that answer to Greg's question actually covered questions from Shane and Sarah as well. So that's good. We knocked out 3 at one time there. Jody has this question. What was it that made you want to be a goalie? I think I know 80%. I still don't know.
Okay, you got to tell me what you know then. You got to tell me, and then I'll tell you if you're right.
Well, I know when you first started playing, and it's when we lived in Syracuse, that you were a shot-blocking defenseman who couldn't get out from in front of your own goalie to the point where you were in the crease on top of the goalie and he couldn't see what was going on.
I'd like to say I walked so David Savard could run.
Right. And when you first, and actually when we first came here, the first guy that you modeled your defensive prowess against, the guy you were trying to emulate, was who?
Brooks Orpik.
No,
who do you think?
Our first Blue Jacket, the first Blue Jackets defenseman.
You can't say that because we all knew I liked watching Brooks Orpik play.
Okay, yes,
Big
I did.
hitter.
But what about Blue Jackets defenseman? Jan Hayda. You used to always kick your foot out and go, I'm Jan Hayda. I'd block that shot. Right?
Jan Hayda also walked so David Savard could run.
And he wore number 8 when you first got here
Which was my baseball number.
Which was your baseball
number. And then
number.
he swapped to 35, which ended up being my number. Kind of stuck with that. But yeah. To answer the question fully, I just really got into the gear. I liked seeing how goalies could personalize their stuff. Pascal Leclerc in Syracuse, and then he did end up coming to Columbus for a couple seasons. He was a really big inspiration to me just because he was local and he was the number one guy. I did end up falling in love with the way Marc-Andre Fleury played and his bright yellow pads at the time. Those are still beautiful. But yeah, Fleury for sure. I watched a lot of old highlights. I kind of taught myself how to play goalie, modeled it off of EA Sports NHL 07. So if anybody from EA Sports is listening to this, I want to thank you for your funny highlights that you put in there. I made some weird saves trying to mimic NHL 07. But yeah, watching Fleury, and then at the end of Syracuse, at our time in Syracuse, Carl Gehring was at Syracuse originally, but then he came back, and I got the number 35 from him, actually. He was a smaller guy, and he was really quick and agile, and I just liked the way he played too. And again, kind of like the Leclerc situation, he was there, and he was the number one guy, and he was kind of a playoff hero, if I remember correctly. He came back he was in the Nashville organization with Milwaukee. So, yeah, he came back and he kind of caught on fire there at the end, and I just ended up loving the way he played.
You're absolutely right. He did a lot of great things that second time around, especially to help that team win. This kind of leads perfectly into this next question. It's from Aiden Montgomery, who says, I'm going into high school hockey next year as a defenseman, and I was wondering, what do you like your defenseman to be doing on the ice? So as a goalie now, not the defenseman that's standing right in front of his own goalie like you were when you were 6, 7, 8 years old, but as the goalie with the defense in front of him, what do you like your defenseman to do?
Just always be moving and be ready. Always try and think one play ahead. Again, it's just the style of play. We know that David Savard and Gavrikov are going to play differently than Zach Werenski and Ryan Murray are going to play. But, yeah, just pick up a man. Just always be ready. And, again, whatever way the coaches have you playing defensively, just follow that way and clear people out in front of the net. That's always a big thing. But, if you can block shots, that's always nice. I know goalies like that. But, yeah, there's really no specific. Just go in there and play your game, I think.
We talked to Nick Foligno the other day about this same thing, even though he's not a defenseman. And I said, what do you think goalies tell defensemen how to play? First thing Nick said is, don't turn the puck over, which is huge, right?
Yeah, that's big too, or at least get it out of the blue and make them come back in. But, yeah, that's a good point by Nick. And he's great at playing defense for a forward too, so he would know a lot.
How much communication is there between a goalie and the defenseman? I talked to Seth Jones in the early goings of Elvis Merzlikins playing here, and Seth talked about the fact that there had to be different communication with Elvis because he plays the puck so much. You're a guy that plays the puck a lot. You love to go behind the net. Actually, on the team that you played on the last 2 years, you were the breakout. You could have been the breakout because you handle the puck well enough to do that. So how much communication is there between the defenseman and the goaltender for even the little things like that? Who's going to go after the puck, who's going to get it, and if you're going to get it, who you're going to give it to, all that stuff?
It just depends on the team, I guess. As the higher the level is, we know the communication goes up. On my team, if the puck was rimmed around the boards, we practice it that I would stop it and I'd make a breakout pass, or I'd get it to someone right away or throw it off the glass. So usually that happens first couple days of practice, and then just always making sure that, hey, I got it, or one on you going in the corner there, just making sure nobody dies, gets hit. But high school level, it's a little simpler than it would be at, of course, what the NHL level is. It's more of if the goalie will go and play the puck, it's pretty much who's got the puck, and if somebody's coming in on you, if you're going to retrieve the puck as a defenseman. But it's not as complicated, especially with the teams that I played for, and not even just the past 2 years, like my entire life. It's pretty much just been like, hey, for me at least, it's been, hey, I've got puck, or you got one guy coming hard. And so to answer the question about the high school hockey, it's not too much, but you should at least know, like, if they're going to go and grab it, or at least pay attention if they're going to go and grab it. But yeah, other than that, it's not too much.
So if you're a defenseman and your goalie's not talking to you and not telling you as your back is to the play and you're looking at the wall to go to the puck, if he's not telling you if there's back pressure coming and which way you need to rim it or chip it, there's a problem. You need to talk to the goalie.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, definitely. At least, of course, not all the time you're going to hear or listen, because there's been times where I've seen where there's an open play one way and they throw it the other way. But yeah, there should at least be some sort of communication between one another.
Jeremy G wants to know, what is the coolest experience that you have been able to have meeting and interacting with players because of my job?
I don't know. I'd like to say all of them are really cool, actually. I don't get to say that about you or your job a lot, as you can testify to, but I do.
Wait a minute. Teenagers don't say their dads are cool very much?
No, I tell you I appreciate your job. I've said it before, but yeah, just being able to meet the type of people that especially kids my age don't get to meet, and if they do, it's the guys walking back into the locker room after the game, or they're driving out of the parking lot after the game or something, and it's a quick hi or a meet and greet, and where it's only a time limit. Just being able to walk into opposing arenas and opposing locker rooms and stuff, and getting to the chance to talk to people. Nick Foligno's an amazing guy to talk to, and he's gotten to recognize me a little bit, and I enjoy talking to him. Jonas, he's great to talk to. I got to talk to other people that were here. Yeah, so it's really nice. But I guess the greatest experience is, well, other than meeting Fleury a couple times, I would put that up there. But the story you're waiting for is we got to talk to Wayne Gretzky before. Edmonton came in, was it last year? Or was it 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. And, yeah, Wayne Gretzky walked down the hallway, and we ended up going and talking to Wayne Gretzky, and that was fun.
And I thought maybe – do you remember the first time I introduced you to Rick Nash?
A little bit.
Was it the very first year I think it was the very first year that I was here.
I think it probably was.
I will never forget.
But it was like towards the end of the year. I had to wait.
And how old were you at the time? You were
7 or 8.
8 years old, yeah. And we were just outside the dressing room in the hallway. And Rick came out, and I stopped him, and I said, "Rick, this is my son Matthew." And he said hi to you, and he shook your hand, and you were good. I mean, you weren't talking his ear off, but you were answering his questions. You were really good about it. And Rick walked away, and we went around the corner to the tunnel toward the bench. And I remember you looked at me, and you said, "Catch me, I'm going to faint. I just talked to Rick Nash." Don't be embarrassed. You were 8 years old. I mean. It was cute. It was a great story, and it was one of those things that it made me proud to have the job I did, to be able to give you that experience. The other one was when you asked me. Remember when you asked me if you could meet Kari Lehtinen?
Yeah.
When Dallas came in, again being a big goalie guy, Matthew wanted to meet Kari Lehtinen, and I never go to the other room unless I know somebody, and I didn't know the public relations guy there, and I didn't know Kari Lehtinen, but Matthew was with me at the practice, and I went down and I asked the PR guy, I said, "Look, I never do this, but my son is here. He loves goalies. He loves Kari, and he'd like to meet him before you leave." This is after a morning skate. And the guy said, "Hold on for a second." He went into the room, and he said, Kari's going to get showered, and then he'll be out. So I appreciated that. I thought that was cool. And then when he came out with a signed stick, which I did not ask for. And he couldn't have been nicer. And he stood there and talked to you for, I don't know, what he talked to you for, 10 minutes?
Yeah, I honestly forgot about that. Yeah, that was a great gift. I was definitely not expecting that. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, he was great. I do remember asking to meet him. Just being in town, I figured why not. But yeah, that was awesome. I do remember talking to him, and he's a great guy.
Believe me, Matthew would be the only kid that, if Dallas would come to town, if it wasn't Lehtinen, he'd be saying, "I want to see Marty Turco." There was nobody else. None of his friends that were there cared about Marty Turco, but Matthew was caring about Marty Turco, and you knew it. You cared more about the backup goalies on every team than you did about most of the forwards.
Yeah, probably. Although, like when Mark Mathod or Derek Brassard would come back into town, that was always nice. We we didn't mention that, but it was nice seeing them too, especially since we spent a lot of time with them in Syracuse. And the last time I saw Mark Mathot, he said I was getting real tall, and I didn't see him for like 5 years up until that point, and I caught him by surprise. I guess I shot up on him.
Yeah, he couldn't believe it. This is your son? The one that was like, you were barely to his knee. When
Brass
he saw you
was like the same way too. Yeah.
So those are great times. I knew I had another question here, and I can't find it right now. So I apologize. I don't know who asked it, but somebody early on had said, "Are there any instances of something I did at one of your games where I embarrassed you?"
Well, not a rip on you, but you don't get to show up to many of my games. If we're gonna go away from hockey here, we played in a summer ball tournament last year, and I was on a different team. I was on the higher age group team at the time earlier in the year, and I was just pitching. So I got told, hey, if you finish early, come to our game. Well, we were watching it on, the Game Changer app. They have the app telling you. It was like the last inning or second to last inning by the time we pulled in the parking lot. And it's at Central Crossing, and Central Crossing from the parking lot, you have to walk past the football field, and it's like another 50 yards to get to the baseball
It's a very
field.
long walk.
It's a very far walk. So by the time I got down there, I'm wearing my headphones and I'm in my tennis shoes, and I walked in and I was like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" And I guess you guys were either losing or you.
Oh, we were
you
losing.
You were losing.
We were losing to a team that we should have been beating handily.
Yeah.
Late in the game, we were losing. Yes.
And it was like the second to last inning with like maybe an out, maybe 2 outs.
Yeah, we had like 5 outs left to figure this out.
And I was just like, "Hey, what's up?" And I was talking to everyone, and you came over and you just started yelling at me that I didn't have my bag and I didn't have my cleats and where's my helmet? And I ended up going into hit with turf shoes on a muddy field, which wasn't fun. And then I was wearing 2 different batting gloves because I just grabbed some out of somebody's bag. I grabbed a random bat that was just lying there, and somebody let me wear their helmet. I went out. I guess it was a hit and run. I didn't know. I didn't really look for a sign, but
I give the signs, by the way, so of course you didn't look. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I almost killed the runner, and then so I ended up being the tying run, but I guess the way I scored wasn't good enough. So if anybody wants to know the real way to score a run, ask my dad, because I always thought it was any run counted and all were the same, but apparently I did it wrong.
Hold on. Did you run through a stop sign?
I did run through a stop sign, but there's a difference here. With my supersonic speed, to run past the catcher that bobbled the ball, I saved the game. You guys probably would not have got that extra run, and you can't say otherwise, because I know it's true, and you're just holding back right now because you want to say it's not true, but it's true.
Well, I don't know it's true.
You have a good idea.
I tend to think that it may not have happened.
They got the next out, like the batter after or something.
Well, see, I don't remember that part conveniently, but anyway.
Yeah, that's funny.
All I remember is you ran through a stop sign. So you disobeyed the instructions, but we ended up tying that game that we should have won, but we didn't lose, and we got a better seed in the championship bracket.
See, this is the problem with being the coach's kid. Some people think it's glorious. Not my coach. Not my coach. It's not glorious. I don't get to play shortstop and pitch every other inning of every game. No, it's I'm batting last, and I'm lucky to be in the game sometimes.
But so you don't look at it like you came up and you didn't have your stuff, and I yelled at you and I screamed at you to get into the lineup.
I saved the game, arguably.
Which is why I couldn't believe you didn't show up ready to go. Because
in my defense,
I needed
the thing said it was like the last inning.
I needed you.
I didn't know that.
And you're in there glad-handed with everybody. Like you just came back to AAA from the big leagues, and hey, guys, how's it going?
Well, in my defense, a real manager would have had his bench locked into the game, and nobody should have been talking to me in the first place. You had to get your team together there.
Yeah, well, I was out on the field coaching a base, but
the third base, and you were on the third base side. So
right.
Before you start making excuses for yourself,
did
you ran over to yell at me.
That's right.
You ran over to yell at
Let me
me.
just ask you this: did I make the right decision to put you in the game?
Arguably, yes.
Arguably, yes. So at the end of the day, I did what was right. No matter how I did it. See, now I know how Torts feels every single day.
No. But here's the deal. You yelled at your own kid in front of literally everybody else. It was pretty bad.
Well, I look at it as not showing favoritism.
Whatever makes you sleep at night.
And we were successful, even though you ran through the stop sign. So anyway, have you enjoyed this? Now, in all seriousness, did you enjoy this?
I did enjoy this. Thank you for having it. And by the way, we did not get to the original question of this. Did you know that?
What?
We did not get to the top 3 goalies and why.
I thought we did. I thought you hit that right away.
No, we hit on your Grant Fuhr.
Yeah, but you said Bernie Parent was your number 1 guy.
He's not my favorite goalie of all time. I said he would be my pick to win Game 7.
All right, who are your
Come
3?
on, you're the person that says you're the smartest one.
Let's go.
Here.
Who's your 3?
3 goalies. I'm going to go Fleury. I explained this earlier in the show. Fleury is my top pick. I love the way he plays. He's just an absolute battler, amazing goaltender. In my opinion, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. 2, I'll say Martin Brodeur. We're going to try and go by decades here, so we'll go 10s, Fleury's, 2000s, Brodeur, slash Hasek, but mostly Brodeur. The way Brodeur plays is similar to Fleury, just a little more old school. So, and then I'll go. How far back do I want to go? I'll go way back. I'll go Terry Sawchuk. Just the way he was as a person was just weird, and just like getting to know his story after like doing some research on him. He's a very interesting person, and going to Joe Louis in the final year and getting to look at the locker they set aside for him was very nice to look at, and getting to see that.
Yeah, that was another one of those experiences, which was one thing Matthew wanted to do was see the Joe before it was gone. And even though I told him that it wasn't that flashy, there was nothing that great about it, but that room and that stall was important to you, and you got a chance to see it.
Yeah, it was important.
So you just gave me 4 goalies for your top 3 of all time.
And I could throw Johnny Bauer in there.
Now we're going 5 goalies for your top 3.
We'll throw 5 in there. We'll be nice. Johnny Bauer, great guy, good goalie. We'll leave it at that for now.
See what I go through every day. This is, I mean, and during this stay at home, this is every day. This goes on.
Drove him insane.
Yeah.
You didn't even mention about how many times I ask you about my videos and to critique those.
I was getting there before we close out the show, because that's how you close out a show. I know you do video production. I know you shoot a lot of video. I know you've been on camera and all that, but now I'm going to show you how you close out a show and take care of your guest at the very end, because I was going to say you can find Matthew on Twitter at Matt McElligott 8. And in the last couple of days, he has spent his time, as we're trying to get him to do other things, believe me, he has spent his time with a computer on his lap, editing videos of different Blue Jackets players. It was Zach Werenski, Pierre-Luc Dubois, and the latest was what I thought, and I'm going to say this, and you're going to be shocked, I thought was a terrific video for Jonas Korpisalo, who just signed a 2-year contract extension.
Well, thank you. You don't say that very often about things I do. So thank God this is recorded, because this might go on my phone at some point.
So you can find those videos on his Twitter at Matt McElligott 8. And how many, as of yesterday, like late Sunday, what did you have as far as your views on the Korpisalo video?
It was low. In my defense, I started working on it at 2 a.m, and by the time I finished, after doing other things such as homework and watching TV with my family, because I'm a good guy like that, it was probably at about 300 views. And are we going to say what it is now?
Yeah, as we're having this conversation, what is it?
As of right now, it is at 4,437 views according to Twitter.
All right. So you can add to that by going, and really, they are well done. He's doing them all himself. The only thing I get is to critique it when it's done, and it's a learning experience, and it's what is the word that I'm trying to say? I'm trying to help you with the critique. You don't always see it that way.
Yeah, you come across a little mean sometimes. If you get the chance to meet him, and the more times I hear people say about how nice my dad is, I've heard adults, there's people my own age that meet him on field trips and stuff that say that he's such a great guy. I can't believe he's your dad. Not special. He can be a little mean, as you heard from the baseball story. But no, I'm just picking on you.
Well, and I appreciate that, and it's this was fun. It was good. Thank you for doing it.
It was fun.
And really, this was a sell job. He likes to do this. He'll never say that. He likes to do it, but he's not. He doesn't have to do it. It's not like he's.
I had to do this one.
You did have to do yeah. He's not bugging me to do it, but he is bugging me to critique those videos. So please go check them out. They're very well done.
I will say this: if anybody would like to have me back, this is a one-time offer, people. I will come back one time, maybe more, depending on how much success this has. I know that there hasn't been a lot of hockey news coming up recently, so if you want to ask for an opinion on a very smart, young, handsome, amazing man, I have your answers.
And we'll just leave it at that. Matthew, thank you very much. That is my son, Matthew McElligott, and that will wrap up this Monday Mailbag edition of CBJ in 30, presented by Tel Ohio Credit Union. Until next time, I'm Bob McElligott saying so long.